The farming moon Turnifor was quiet, almost forgotten by the galaxy. It had no tall buildings, no flying cars, and no busy cities. Only wide yellow fields of sky heat, small round houses, and peaceful blue skies filled the land. People here lived simple lives, and they liked it that way. In one of the smaller villages lived a boy named Nilo. He was thin, a little shorter than most boys his age, with brown eyes and quiet feet. Nilo didn't talk much. He listened more than he spoke. Some people thought he was strange, but his grandmother always said, "Quiet ones hear what others miss." Nilo lived with his grandmother, Myra, in a small house near the edge of the sky heat fields. His parents had gone off-world when he was 5 and never came back. No one talked about it. Nilo didn't ask anymore. Every morning, Nilo helped his grandmother in the fields. They watered the wheat roots, checked the soil drones, and repaired the old wind pumps. At night, he would sit near the old barn, staring at the stars. He liked thinking about the ships moving up there. In the stories his grandmother used to tell about the galaxy beyond TIR-4 sometimes. He would go into the broken part of the village where old machines from the last Star War were left. Giant walkers with missing legs, half-buried scout pods, and silent cum towers filled the place. Other children stayed away, but Nilo liked being there. He would talk to the machines, pretending they were alive. Maybe one day he would whisper, "You'll wake up again." One evening, while fixing a cracked water pipe, Nilo felt something strange. Light breeze passed, though the air had been still for hours. Then, a loud humming sound came from the sky. It wasn't a cargo ship. It was deeper, shook the ground. Softly, he looked up. A strange ship, black and shaped like a giant curved claw, burned through the clouds. It moved too fast and too low. The sky turned orange around it as it fell toward the nearby forest, trailing sparks and smoke. A loud boom echoed across the hills. The crash shook the earth. Birds flew from the trees. The sky heat bent from the force. Then silence. Villagers came out of their homes, pointing at the smoke rising from the forest. Some shouted, "A ship crashed." Others ran to call the council. But no one went near except Nilo. That night, while everyone stayed indoors and the council warned people to avoid the forest, Nilo couldn't sleep. He felt something pulling him, not with hands, but something inside. A strange feeling in his chest, like when the stars whispered stories. Before dawn, he packed a small bag with bread, water, and a light tool from the barn. He left a note for his grandmother that read, "I'm going to sea." The forest near Turnifor was thick and quiet. The moonlight barely touched the ground. Nilo walked carefully, following the smell of smoke and the glow ahead. After nearly an hour, he reached a clearing where the trees had been burned in a circle. And there it was, the crashed ship. It was massive, almost the size of 3 houses. The hull was black and curved, with glowing red lines running along the surface. It didn't look human. Didn't even look like anything from the Galactic Trade Network. Nilo stepped closer. The hatch on the side had burst open. He climbed in slowly. Inside, the air was warm and heavy. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls. He walked past broken panels and sparking wires. Then he saw it. A creature, lying in the center of the ship. Half covered in debris, was a being taller than any man Nilo had ever seen. Its body looked like it was made of dark armor and silver scales. Long horns curled from its head, and its chest rose and fell slowly. Nilo froze. This was no robot. No animal. This was a living alien one, like he had only heard about in old stories. A Threxel, though he didn't know the name yet. Its eyes were closed, and its breathing was slow. One wing, folded against its back, looked damaged. Flew from a broken suit on its shoulder. It didn't look dangerous. It looked tired. Nilo didn't run. He just stared. The alien's eyes opened, one glowing with a soft golden light. For a long moment, boy and being just looked at each other. Then, something strange happened. The creature, lying there in pain, tried to lift its head. It couldn't rise fully. It moved just enough and lowered its head. Not an attack, not in warning, but in something that looked almost like respect. Nilo blinked, confused. Why would such a powerful creature lower its head to him? The moment ended quickly. The alien coughed, a low sound like rocks shifting. Its eyes closed again. Nilo stood still for a long time, and slowly he stepped forward. He didn't understand why, but he felt he couldn't leave the creature alone. He sat down near the alien, took out his water bottle, and placed it beside the large hand of the being. "You're not from here," he whispered. "You're not bad." He didn't know the stars had already changed. He didn't know that across the galaxy, a signal had been sent. And he didn't know that this moment, this quiet boy sitting beside the galaxies, most feared creature would soon become the story that stunned the stars. The next morning on Turnifor felt different. Sun rose slowly, but the air was still heavy, as if holding a secret. Most villagers stayed inside, whispering about the strange ship that had fallen in the forest. The local council sent a message to the outer patrol stations, asking for help, but no one wanted to go near the crash. Only one person had been there. Only Nilo knew what really waited in the woods. He had stayed with the creature until the sky turned orange, and quietly he returned home before his grandmother could notice. But his thoughts stayed in the forest with the strange being whose eyes had opened, and who had bowed its head. Why did he do that? Nilo whispered to himself again and again. That day, Nilo acted like everything was normal. He helped Mira with the water lines and fixed the barn door. But the moment she went inside to rest, Nilo packed more supplies, more water, some fruit, and a small light. By the time the second sun dipped low, Nilo was already walking back into the forest. The forest path felt less scary now. He knew the way, stepping carefully over twisted roots and ducking under branches. When he reached the crash site, he saw small changes. The ship's red glow was dimmer and smoke had stopped rising. But the alien was still there, still lying in the middle of the ship, motionless but breathing. Nilo stepped closer. He spoke softly. "I brought water and food." The creature's eyes opened slowly. One golden, one dark, didn't speak. But something about the way it looked at Nilo made the boy feel calm, not afraid. He sat down again and placed the bottle near the alien's hand. Its clawed fingers moved slowly, touching the bottle. He picked it up awkwardly, but without force, and drank then. Something even more strange happened. The alien looked at Nilo and spoke not with words from its mouth, but a voice inside Nilo's mind. "Why do you help me?" Nilo gasped. The lips of the creature hadn't moved, but the voice had been clear, gentle, and deep. I don't know," Nilo answered, a little nervous. "You didn't hurt me? And you look like you needed help?" The alien was silent for a moment. Then the voice came again. "I am not like you. I am Threxel."
Nilo tilted his head.
"Trexel? Warrior race? Hunters, our kind does not bow. Our kind does not ask. But you?" Did Nilo said softly, remembering that moment. The alien was quiet again. The gold eye stared at the boy, studying him, searching. Then it said, "You carry light. Ancient light. It speaks to us." Nilo didn't understand. "I don't have any light," he said. "Not that kind of light. A mark inside you. Old, powerful, you do not know it yet." Nilo blinked. He looked at his hands, then at the Threxel. "Are you saying I'm special?" The creature gave a soft sound. Not quite a laugh, but close. "You are different. Special. Time will tell." Nilo smiled a little. "What's your name?" The creature paused. Then slowly, the voice came again. "I am Shervak." Nilo repeated carefully. "Correct. You may call me that." From that day on, Nilo visited Shervak every evening. He brought food and helped clean small wounds. In return, Shervak shared small pieces of old stories from the stars, from a time when Threxel ruled parts of the galaxy. He told Nilo about planets that glowed green, and ships that moved without fuel. But more than anything, Shervak listened. He listened to Nilo's stories about Turnifor, about his grandmother, about broken machines and quiet days. Each visit made their bond stronger, but not everyone was quiet. 3 days after the crash, a loud hum filled the sky over Turn 4 again. This time, it was not a falling ship, but a patrol ship from the Galactic Council. It hovered over the village, silver and clean, with the Council's mark glowing on its side. 4 soldiers stepped out, wearing shiny blue suits. They asked questions. They checked the crash area from above using scan-drones. The villagers didn't know much, and those who had seen something were too scared to speak. But the soldiers noticed something strange. "There are signs someone's been near the crash," one of them said. "Footprints. Small ones." "Could be a child," another answered. "We need to find out." Back at home, Nilo saw the patrol ship from the hill. He hid his bag and walked into the village like nothing was wrong. But his grandmother noticed something in his eyes. "Nilo," she said gently, "you've been going out a lot." Nilo looked at her. Her eyes were kind but sharp. "There's something in the forest," she added, "isn't there?" Nilo nodded slowly, trusted her more than anyone. "It's not what they think," he whispered. "He's not dangerous." Her eyes widened. His name is Shervak. He's not like us, but he's not bad." Grandmother Mira sat down, thinking deeply. After a long silence, she said, "Long ago, people believed stories like this, that the stars held more than just danger. Maybe it's time to believe again." That night, Nilo returned to the crash site once more. Shervak was awake, sitting up. Now, his body still looked tired, but stronger. His wings rested lightly against the ship walls. "Visitors have come," Shervak said without turning. "Yes," Nilo replied. "Council patrols? They're looking for you? Then I must leave. Or destroy the ship." "No," Nilo stood quickly. "If you leave now, they'll find you. Or worse, then I fight." Nilo shook his head. "No, there's another way. I'll help you hide. Just trust me." For the first time, Shervak looked unsure. Threxel warrior used to power and pride, now placing trust in a human child. But he nodded. "Then I trust." And so, under the quiet stars, a bond stronger than fear or law was made. A boy and an alien, both from different worlds, stood together in silence. While the galaxy began to notice a light they had long forgotten, something was coming. And Nilo, the quiet farm boy, was standing at its center. For the next 2 nights, the village stayed quiet. The patrol ship from the Galactic Council circled above once in the evening, then flew away. Ow. The council guards had spoken to the village leader and left behind a small scan tower. Watched the forest silently, blinking blue every few seconds. But it was too far to see where Shervak was hiding now. Nilo had helped the alien move deeper into the forest. There was an old cave system under a rocky hill, known only to local kids who played there during dry seasons. Nilo had discovered it years ago and used it as a hiding place when he wanted to be alone. Now, he wasn't alone anymore. Shervak lay on smooth stone inside the largest cave, his back resting against the wall. His large wings were slowly healing, and though his movements were still slow, his energy was returning. Nilo brought food and water each day, hiding everything under his old field cart. Sometimes he stayed for hours. They didn't always talk. Often they sat in silence, Nilo, looking at the stars through the small cracks in the cave roof, and Shervak, listening to the wind as if it carried news from far away. One afternoon, after helping his grandmother repair a broken drone, Nilo made his way back to the cave. When he arrived, Shervak was standing. He looked stronger than ever before. His scales shimmered in the sunlight that slipped through the cave's ceiling cracks. "You're getting better," Nilo said with a smile. Shervak turned his golden eye toward him. "Yes, faster than expected. Your presence helps." Tilted his head. "Me, yes," Shervak replied slowly. "There is something in you, an old spark. I do not understand it fully, but it speaks to me. Not with words, but with feeling." Nilo sat down beside a rock. "You keep saying I have a light inside me. What does that mean?" The Threxel warrior folded his wings carefully and sat across from the boy. Long ago, he began, my people were proud. We ruled parts of the galaxy. We were warriors. Some called us monsters. Others called us protectors. But we followed strength. Only the strongest among us could lead. Nilo nodded. But how does that connect to me? There, we're once humans, Shervak said, his voice calm, who held a gift, a bond with stars themselves. We called them the Calron marked. Only they could calm a Threxel heart. Only they could command our respect without a single weapon. Nilo's eyes widened. What happened to them? They disappeared, Shervak answered. Some say they were destroyed. Others say they gave up on the stars and turned inward. We have not felt their light in 10,000 years. He paused, then looked at Nilo deeply. Till now. Nilo didn't know what to say. He wasn't a warrior, wasn't even that strong. He was just a quiet farm boy who liked machines and stars. I'm not special, he said softly. But you are, Shervak replied. You helped me without fear. You listened without pride. I looked at you. My spirit did not rise in defense. It bowed. Bowed? Nilo asked, remembering that moment again. Yes, and now I understand why. That evening, something strange happened. As the sky turned orange, and the wind blew softly through the trees outside the cave, Shervak placed a small metal device on the ground. It looked like a smooth circle with a glowing center. He tapped it gently, and a faint hum filled the air. This is a memory crystal, he said. It holds the knowledge of my kind. I want to share a piece with you. Nilo hesitated. Will it hurt? No, Shervak said. Close your eyes. Nilo did. The moment he did, images flooded his mind. Stars glowing, planets rising, great beasts flying across the skies of ancient worlds. He saw Threxel warriors standing beside humans dressed in silver and blue, their hands glowing with a soft white light. One of them had eyes like his, calm, kind, steady. When he opened his eyes again, his heart was beating fast. That was, he began. Yes, Shervak said gently. That is who you are connected to. You are not one of them. But a spark of their light lives in you. It is rare. It cannot be forced. It only appears when the heart is pure. Nilo looked down at his hands. I don't know what to do with this. You don't have to do anything, Shervak replied. Just be who you are. That is enough. But far above Turna 4, in the cold space beyond the moons, others were watching. A listening probe, hidden near a broken asteroid, had picked up a signal from the crash. It had heard a name, Shervak. That name was not just any name. It belonged to a Threxel of royal blood, a warrior once chosen to be High Flame General, a leader of the strongest warriors of their kind. His return from the dead was not small. News. The signal reached the outer systems within hours, and in the chambers of the Galactic Council. Quiet turned to chaos. Back in the cave, Nilo felt none of this. He stood beside Shervak now, watching the stars. What happens now? He asked. I don't know, Shervak replied. But something is moving. I feel it. Eyes are turning. Winds are changing. Will they come for you? Yes. Will they come for me? Maybe. Nilo was quiet for a long time. Then he said something unexpected. Then we face it together. Shervak turned slowly toward the boy. You would stand beside me, even when the stars rise in anger. Nilo smiled. You stood beside me first. The alien warrior looked at the boy for a long moment. Then, with great care, he knelt down on one knee. Again, the proud alien dragon, who never bowed to any human in history, bowed once more, not because he had to, but because he chose to, and somewhere far away, on a golden planet filled with fire and thrones, a Threxel elder opened his eyes in shock. The ancient bond, he whispered. It is returned. 3 days had passed since Shervak shared his memory crystal with Nilo. The cave had become their meeting place, a safe world hidden under stone and silence. But the stars above Turna 4 were no longer calm. Nilo felt it before anyone else. would lie on the hill behind his grandmother's house at night, staring at the sky. The stars seemed brighter, like they were watching. The wind carried a strange sound, like a whisper far away. Shervac also felt it. His golden eye watched the stars with growing worry. Something was coming, something powerful. But for now, the cave was still peaceful. That afternoon, Nilo arrived at the cave with a small box in his hands. It was made from old machine parts, carefully wired together. "What is that?" Shervac asked, standing near the cave's light shaft. "It's a message sender," Nilo replied. "Well, a weak one. It can only send small signals. But it might help you talk to your people if any are left." Shervac stepped closer and knelt beside him. His clawed hand gently touched the side of the device. "You made this?" "Used old patrol drone pieces," Nilo said proudly. "I've been working on it since the second day. Thought maybe it could help you." Go home. Shervac looked at him, thoughtful. "You would help me leave?" Nilo's smile faded a little. "I don't want you to leave. But I know you don't belong here. Maybe someone's looking for you." The alien warrior was silent for a long time. Finally he said, "Long ago I had a home, but I lost it. Not because of war, but because I spoke the truth. My people do not forgive easily." Nilo tilted his head. "What truth?" His Shervac's golden eye glowed faintly. "I said that peace was better than pride, that the strongest warrior is the one who protects, not the one who destroys. They called it weakness. They sent me away." Nilo looked down. "That's not weakness. That's strength." Shervac smiled softly. "That's why I trust you." Together, they placed the device on the highest point of the hill above the cave. Nilo set the frequency to a low signal, just enough to reach. Near orbit without drawing attention, or so he hoped. "Sending now," he whispered, pressing the button. The machine hummed. A soft blue light pulsed. A message was flying through space. "Shervac lives. Turn a 4. Safe."
Right.
But far above the clouds, in deep space. Someone had already found that message. The Galactic Council's scanners picked it up within minutes. A high alert signal was sent across their network. Ships were ordered to move. Leaders held emergency meetings, and among the stars, a dark, triangle-shaped ship changed course. It was not from the Council. It was not from Earth. It was Threxel, back on Turnifor. Nilo was fixing a broken cart in the village square when the sky turned silver. A strange hum filled the air. Everyone looked up. A new ship had arrived. But this one was different from the last Council patrol. It was faster, smoother, and shaped like a sharp blade. It hovered just above the forest line, not landing, just watching. Nilo's heart dropped. "That's not Council," he whispered. He dropped his tools and ran through the fields, past the river, into the forest. He ran until he reached the cave. "Shervac," shouted. The warrior was already standing at the entrance, looking toward the sky. His wings were tense. His hands were tight fists. "They've come," he said. "Your people?" Nilo asked. Shervac nodded. "Yes, but not to rescue me." "Then why? To silence me. If they know I shared the truth, they will not let me live. And if they know about you—" He didn't finish the sentence. Nilo's face went pale. "Have to run?" Shervac looked down. "No, I cannot run forever. I must face them, but I won't let them take you." "I'm not leaving you," Nilo said quickly. "We face them together, remember?" For a moment, the warrior didn't speak. Then he nodded. Together? That evening, as the sun set in a blaze of orange, the blade-shaped ship finally landed. 3 Threxel warriors stepped out. Their armor was dark and shining. Their wings were folded tight. One of them wore a crown made of firestone. "Shervac," he called, his voice deep and full of command. Shervac stepped into the clearing. Nilo stood. Beside him, the lead warrior raised a clawed hand. "You have broken your vow. You shared the old bond with a human." "I did," Shervac answered calmly. "You bowed before him," the other growled. "I did. You carry shame. I carry truth." The lead warrior's eyes burned. "Then speak your last words, traitor." But before anything more could, B said. Nilo stepped forward. I'm not your enemy, he said. Shervak didn't break anything. He found something that was lost. He found me. The other two warriors looked at each other in confusion. Silence. Boy, the lead one growled. Shervak moved in front of Nilo quickly. Touch him, and I end this in blood. For a moment, everything was still. The wind stopped. The trees were silent. Then, something strange happened. A glow rose from Nilo's hands, faint like starlight, soft white and warm. The Threxel leader stepped back in shock. That light is the old bond, Shervak said. Alive again. It was gone. No, it only slept. The leader stared at Nilo, then at Shervak. His voice trembled. What do we do now? We listen, Shervak said, like we should have long ago. That night, the stars watched in silence as something changed. The Threxel left without a fight. No war, no fire, only silence and understanding. Shervak stayed. Nilo stayed. The light between them grew stronger. A boy who believed in kindness had touched the heart of a warrior once lost to pride, and now the galaxy was watching, because something old had returned, and it had taken the form of a boy and a dragon. After the strange meeting in the forest, peace returned to Turnifor for a short time. The three Threxel warriors who came in the blade-shaped ship had left quietly. They did not attack. They did not force Shervak to return. They simply looked at Nilo with wide, thoughtful eyes and then flew back into the stars. But silence did not mean safety. Shervak knew the council of the Threxel would not accept this change so easily. The bond between a human and a Threxel had not been seen in thousands of years. For many, it was just a story, a forgotten legend. Now it was real, and that meant trouble. Inside the cave, Nilo sat cross-legged across from Shervak. Between them, the old memory crystal floated again, softly glowing. Is this what they're afraid of? Nilo asked, watching. The lights inside the crystal move like stars in a tiny galaxy. They are not afraid of you, Shervak replied. They're afraid of change. For generations, we ruled by strength. We listened only to fire and pride. But you bring something different. You bring balance. Nilo thought for a moment. But I'm just a farm boy. No, Shervak said calmly. You are more than that now. You carry the light of the old ones, and your choice will shape what comes next. Nilo looked down at his hands. What choice? Shervak stood and walked toward the entrance of the cave. He looked up at the sky. The Threxel Council will send a final ship. A large one. They will not come to talk. They will come to end what they fear. I can run, I can hide, or... He turned back to Nilo. Or I can stand in the open and speak the truth before them. But if I do, I will not stand alone. Want me to come with you? Nilo asked. No, Shervak replied. I ask you to choose. That night, Nilo lay awake in his small bed. His grandmother was asleep in the next room. Outside, the wind moved the grass gently. The stars above the roof seemed brighter than ever. He closed his eyes and remembered. It's the moment when Shervak bowed before him. Not because he was powerful, not because he was famous, but because he was kind. Nilao sat up and looked out the window. The time had come to decide. 3 days later, the sky turned dark. Not because of clouds, because of a ship. A giant vessel, dark silver with red markings. Hovered above the forest like a floating city. Its lights blinked across the sky. It cast a long shadow across the hills of Turnifor. People in the village stopped working and stared. Fear spread like cold wind. Nilo stood at the edge of the forest. Shervak stood beside him. Are you ready? Shervak asked. Nado nodded. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I'll stand with you. That is enough, the warrior said as they stepped into the open field where the ship had landed. The ground shook slightly. A ramp opened with a slow hiss. A group of Threxel soldiers stepped out, their armor shining in the sunlight. Behind them, a taller Threxel with dark blue wings walked forward. He wore no helmet. He was High Flame Elder Torvak, leader of the Threxel Council. Shervak lowered his wings but stood tall. I am here. I will speak. Torvak's voice was deep and heavy. You speak of peace. You bow before a human. These things are not our way. Then your way must change, Shervak replied calmly, or it will destroy us. Torvak pointed toward Nilo. And this child? Is he your leader now? No, Shervak said. He is not above me. I am not above him. We are equal. Other Threxel soldiers murmured in surprise. Some looked confused. Others looked angry. Torvak's eyes narrowed. This bond is dangerous. If we allow it, others will follow. Our traditions will break. Some traditions must break, Shervak said, or we remain blind. Nilo stepped forward. His voice shook a little, but he spoke clearly. I didn't ask for this, he said. I didn't want to be part of some big change. I only helped a lost warrior who needed kindness. And maybe that kindness was the start of something better. The soldiers were silent. Torvak raised his hand. You believe kindness is stronger than fire? I believe it is the fire, Nilo replied. The fire that warms, not destroys. Shervak smiled. Torvak stared at the boy for a long time. Then he turned away and walked slowly back toward the ship. He stopped halfway. I cannot stop what has begun, he said without turning. But the council will not accept this bond unless you prove your strength. In 3 days, come to the arena of flame. Let the bond be tested before all Threxel. Nilo looked up at Shervak.
Ow.
What's the arena of flame? It is not a place of games, Shervak said slowly.
Ow.
It is a place where truths are tested by battle. Nilo swallowed hard. Torvak entered the ship. The ramp closed. The ship rose and disappeared into the stars. Back in the cave, Nilo sat quietly. His hands trembled. I can't fight, he said. I've never even held a weapon. It is not always a fight of weapons, Shervak said. Sometimes it is a fight of spirit. But what if I fail? Then I fall beside you, Shervak said. But I believe you won't. Nilo closed his eyes. The stars inside the memory crystal pulsed, softly nearby. He didn't feel like a warrior. He felt afraid. But he also felt something else. Hope. Maybe that was enough. Across the galaxy, the news spread. A human boy bonded with a Threxel warrior. Challenge at the arena of flame. A forgotten light returns. The galaxy, once quiet, now leaned forward to watch, and in the hearts of many on ships, on planets, in hidden places, something new was rising. Not fear, not anger, but a question. What? If the bond is real? The great arena of flame was carved inside a mountain of black stone on the Threxel homeworld. Fires burned along its walls, and thick red banners hung from the ceiling like rivers of lava. Thousands of Threxel warriors filled the seats there. Wings folded, their eyes fixed on the center ring of battle. This was not just a test. It was a moment that would echo through the stars. And in the center of that ring stood a human boy, Nilo. Looked up at the towering walls around him. The air was hot. The flames roared softly, like they were waiting. His heart beat faster than ever before. But still, he stood tall. Beside him was Shervak, calm and strong as always. You are not alone, Shervak said. Carry my strength. You carry our bond. Nilo nodded. I'll do my best. From across the arena, the High Elder Torvak rose from his throne of stone and flame. Let the voice echoed across the space. Let the trial begin. A tall gate opened, and a new Threxel warrior stepped into the ring. His armor was black with silver edges. His wings were marked with battle scars. His name was Varn, known across many stars as the Champion of Flame. He does not believe in your bond, Shervak said. He will try to break it. Varn looked down at Nilo with cold eyes. You are not a warrior, he said. You are a child with soft hands and foolish hope. I don't need to fight you, Nilo said. I only need to stand. Varn snorted, then prepared to fall. With a loud roar, Varn charged forward, but Shervak stepped between them, blocking the first strike with his arm. Sparks flew. The bond is not one, Torvak said from above. Each must stand alone first. Nilo took a step back. What does that mean? You must face part of the trial alone, Shervak explained quickly. You must show the strength of your heart. Without my help, Varn turned his eyes to Nilo. He didn't strike with claws or flame. Instead, he began to speak. You are weak, he said loudly, so all could hear. You come from dirt and grass, are not like us. You don't belong. The crowd watched in silence. Nilo felt the words like heavy stones, but he looked up and replied, You're right. I'm not like you. I come from a small world. I've never held a sword. But I know what it means to care. I know what it means to help someone who is lost. Hey, that's strength too. The fire around the ring flared suddenly. Torvak's eyes narrowed. The flame reacts. Varn paused. He frowned. You speak well, human, but words are wind. The flame. Once truth? He raised his hand. A small fireball appeared in his palm. It floated above him, glowing orange. Nalil took a deep breath. Then he closed his eyes. I don't want to destroy anything, he said softly, but I will not run. Ah! A strange light rose from his chest. A soft white glow like before. Flame in Varn's hand trembled, then flickered out. The crowd gasped. Even Torvak stood up from his seat. Impossible. Torvak stepped forward now. The bond is complete. The trial was not over. A second test came this time for Shervak. Giant stone pillar rose from the ground. Atop of it sat a memory stone glowing red. It was the stone of pride. If you still carry hate, Torvak announced, this stone will burn you. Only those who have let go of the old anger may pass. Shervak walked slowly toward the pillar. He remembered his banishment. He remembered the shame, the voices that called him weak, the family that turned away. He placed his hand on the stone. It glowed, did not burn. I no longer hate you, Shervak said to the council, but I will not follow you in blindness. The arena fell silent. The flames dimmed. For the first time in Threxel history, the arena of flame had not ended in violence, but in light. Torvak stepped into the ring. He stood before Nilo. You changed the flame. No, Nilo replied. Quietly, the flame was always there. You just forgot how to use it. Torvak looked up at the crowd. This bond cannot be denied. Then, slowly, he turned back to the boy-end, bent his head. A small bow, not deep, but enough. Gasps filled the air. The other warriors bowed their heads next, and at last the flame banners lowered. That evening, Nilo and Shervak stood outside the arena, looking up at the stars. You did something no one ever believed was possible, Shervak said. No, Nilo replied. We did it together. A small ship landed nearby. It carried messages from other worlds. Some were confused. Some were afraid. But most were filled with wonder. The galaxy had seen the trial, and something new had begun. In the distance, new fires were being lit not for war, but for gathering. Threxel elders spoke with human leaders. Lands were drawn for peace visits. Messages crossed systems with one word repeated again and again. Bond, but high above. In a dark part of space, a different group watched. They did not cheer. They did not send messages. They called themselves the Veil, and they did not want peace. They wanted silence, and their ships were already on the move. The galaxy was changing. News of the bond between Nilo and Shervak spread like wildfire. Across many planets and star systems, beings whispered the story of a human boy and a Threxel warrior who dared to defy tradition and bring peace. In Turnifor's village, life had changed too. The people were proud. They spoke of courage, hope, and the power of kindness. Nilo's simple farm had become a place of light in a world often shadowed by fear. But even as peace blossomed, darkness was gathering, far beyond the known systems. The Veil moved in silence. They were a secret, group hidden, shadowy, and powerful. They hated the idea of peace between species. They believed in control through fear and division. Their leader, a woman named Varka, watched the message about Nilo and Shervak with burning eyes. A boy and a dragon, she whispered. If they succeed, the Veil will lose everything. She stood and looked at the dark map of stars. We strike now, before the light spreads. Back on Turnifor, Nilo and Shervok prepared for the challenge that was coming not from warriors or tests, no, but from a hidden enemy. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, a warning came. A scout ship from the Galactic Council arrived, its lights flashing urgently. We have news, the captain said. The Veil ships are moving toward Turnifor. They want to destroy your bond. Nilo's heart sank. Shervak's golden eye flashed with fire. Then we must stand and protect what we have built. The villagers gathered, stood behind Nilo and Shervak, their faces determined. This is our home, Nilo said. We will not let fear win. Shervak spread his great wings. Prepare for battle, but remember, our strength is not only in weapons, but in unity. The village elders gave what little weapons they had to the young and old. Farmers, teachers, and children helped build defenses. When the Veil ships arrived, the sky was dark with their fleet black ships with sharp edges, silent and deadly. The first shots fired from above. The ground shook. Flames burst from trees. But Nilo and Shervok led the defense. Shervok's fire roared like a storm, lighting up the sky. Nilo used his quick mind to guide villagers to safety and find weak spots in the enemy's attack. Together, they fought not with hatred but with hope. In the heart of the battle, Varka appeared in her own ship. Her voice echoed in the skies. Cold and commanding. You cannot win, she said. This bond is a threat to order. Surrender now. Nilo stood on a hill, his eyes fierce. We will never surrender. Varka's ship fired a powerful blast aimed directly at Shervok, but Nilo threw himself between the fire and his friend. The blast hit his shield, breaking it. Shervok roared in pain and fury. Get down. He shouted. Nilo fell, but his spirit did not break. As the battle raged, a strange thing happened. The light from Nilo's heart, the bond began to grow stronger. It spread like a wave, reaching out to every person and creature nearby. The villagers felt it too. Their fear turned into courage. The Threxel warriors fighting alongside them saw it and raised their weapons not to kill, but to protect. Even some of the Veil soldiers hesitated. Varka saw this change and felt her control slipping. She ordered her fleet to attack harder, but the bond was too strong. Shervok flew into the heart of the battle, his fire bright and warm. Not destructive, Nilo stood beside him, glowing with the light of hope. Together, they called out to the Veil soldiers, look around you. We are not enemies. We are one. One by one, the Veil ships slowed. One by one. The weapons lowered in the silence that followed. Varka faced Nilo and Shervak. You have shown strength in a way I did not expect, she said quietly. Perhaps there is more power in kindness than I thought. Nilo smiled softly. Strength is more than fighting. It is standing for what is right. Varka looked at her fleet. Slowly, she gave the order to retreat. The battle was over. The villagers cheered. The stars seemed to shine brighter. Nilo and Shervok stood together, the bond between them shining like a flame that would never die. Months later, the Galactic Council held a great meeting. Leaders from many worlds gathered to discuss the future. Nilo and Shervok were invited as guests of honor. They spoke of unity, courage, and the power of peace. Their story inspired many. The galaxy began to change. Old borders faded. New friendships grew, and the bond between a human boy and an alien, a dragon warrior, became a symbol of hope, of courage, of a future where all beings could live together. And somewhere, beneath the stars, Nilo looked up and whispered, We did it, my friend. Shervak's wings wrapped around him gently. Yes, the warrior said. Always. The light of their bond shone across the galaxy of flame that darkness could never put out.